Hello, wonderful people. Sarah Wells Rolland here at the Village Potters Clay Center in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm getting ready to do a demonstration making a pot with a 3.5 pound ball of clay. I took B-Mix Wood and Miller 900, both Cone 10 Laguna clays, I love them both a lot, and blended it together to make this beautiful latte. If you're interested in how to do that and you don't know, just look around on my page and on my YouTube channel, and you will see a video called Slam Wedging, and it'll show you a great way to blend up clay. All right, so I'm gonna put this down in the middle of my Med-X vat, which needs to be damp but not wet. And here we go. I'm gonna push down with my left hand while my right hand is gripped in a curve, holding center, and my fingers especially are catching center on this ball of clay. Now I'm gonna pull this clay toward the heel of my palm here and let this clay start to cone upward with the heel of my palm riding up on the top so that I don't make a volcano, I make a cone. And then I'm gonna push it back down and I'm ready to go. So this video is going to be a great demonstration in moving 3.5 pounds of clay out of the bottom so you can make a no trim pot and pull really excellent pulls. So I've opened this up and now I'm going to pull it back toward myself. I pull about to 5 o'clock and then I'm going to compress. If this was the floor, I'm going to compress with my fingers like this, making a rib with my fingers across the floor with the sponge in between. Out. And now let's just see what the thickness we have. Shouldn't we do that? I think so. I have a solid 3/8. I'm going to take just a smidge out of it and cut it with a thin wire. Little compression in and out so that I know my floor is nice, compressed clay particles, flat and even. I'm going to put just a little water on this clay, and then I'm going to grab this clay and pull it up with the bottom parts of my hands while my thumbs hold a straight wall on the inside, and I just squeeze a little bit and move upward, and the wheel's momentum really helps bring the clay up. Okay, now I'm going to put a smidge of moisture on the inside. No lake down inside the pot, y'all. If you do that, it gets it really wet down there and makes problems in drying. Sometimes it won't sit flat, sometimes it even cracks. I'm gonna compress right here, push inward, bring that clay up. And you have to push inward a little bit when you're bringing the clay up to do a cylinder because the wheel is trying to push the clay out. So it's a real balance of force. I'm up under the clay, I'm picking my wheel speed up, and I don't actually look right here where I'm working. I look down here and I'm looking that my throwing rings are close together and that the wall of my cylinder is straight. And up I go with a little conical shape inward. The reason I do that is it makes for a stronger cylinder. The clay's always trying to push that clay out. Now notice I had some thickness up here, so I took a minute and got it out, because if you don't do it, get some of that thickness pulled out of the top, it will throw the middle of your pot into a twist, and we don't want that to happen. I'm gonna set up that pull again, and up I go. Look how close together these throwing rings are. I'm gonna pick my wheel speed up and up I go. If my wheel speed is faster, I can move up faster. If my wheel speed is slower, I have to move up slower. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of that water. Now I want to stretch this pretty wide, so I better not pull this cylinder too thin. Right now I'm like 1/4 of an inch from 11 inches. It's 3 pounds, so I think I'm going to feel the bottom. I'm going to do one more pull. And not nearly as much clay, but a nice rapid wheel speed, because believe it or not, when you're close to finished, if you pull with a real slow wheel speed, it's going to mess everything up and start putting twists in. It's counterintuitive, but it's really true. Okay, so now I am going to start to make a shape, and I'm first going to do it with my fingers, and then we're going to start stretching with a rib. So I'm choking this top in so it will remember where it's going to go. Oh, let me give you a height first. We are 11¼ inches tall, and the diameter at the base inside is going to be about 3 inches. Up here, it's 2 3/4. So now I'm going to set up a pull, but my inside fingers right here are going to start pushing out all the way around, all the way around, all the way around. Full revolution, full revolution, full revolution, full revolution. If you don't do full revolutions, you get a twist where it's thicker on one side and thinner on the other. And when you get to the top of your piece, guess what you have? A high and a low and a thick and a thin from each side. I'm going to come down here and push out and show you how on center this stretch out has been. Look at that. I'm pushing out into the rib. I'm pushing out into the rib. Did you know you can stop at any point and do whatever you want? Yeah, it's just clay. Okay, so I'm going to grab right here and up we go. All right, going up, I'm going up, I'm going up, going up, and I'll just stop right there. All right, so I've kind of got a nice curved shape, don't I? Well, in this video, I really want to demonstrate using the ribs. So first, I'm just going to compress the wall a little bit, like that. And then I'm going to take my inside fingers and push out into this rib a little bit. Here we go. I'm pushing out. I'm pushing out. Can you see it? I'm way over here pushing out and meeting the rib. Pushing out. It's got to go all the way around before I move up. Anytime you do anything, you have to go all the way around if you want to keep a nice pull. Okay, that's pretty good, isn't it? I'm going to do it again. I'm right down here. I'm not going to push out till I get up here. So I just pretend, and then I got here, and I'm pushing out, and up I go, up I go. Now my fingers are right here, and they're actually pulling upward. I'm pulling up, because I want to bring the body of this pot out wider up in here. Look at how much this shape has stretched open already. All right, I'm going to choke this top in just a little bit. You want to remind your clay what you're going to want it to do later. And now, even though I'm going to have to open it back up, I'm going to go in and stretch from the inside. I'm going to take this rib and I'm going to turn it like this and turn the angle like that and push the wall with the clay coming against the rib this way out into another shape. So here I go. I'm feeling for the bottom with my finger. There it is. So I'm just going to put my rib in shape. You don't have to be in a hurry about it. And I'm going to come somewhere about out here and start pushing out. Oh, you see it? Can you see that right in there? And I'm going to come up and up. I'm going to come back down right in here. Do you see that? Back up. And really begin to stretch this clay. Look at the oval that's happening at the top. Don't worry about it. I'm going to come out, take a little of this clay off. One of the nice things about stretching from the inside is it takes throwing rings away. And that can really often interfere with what we want our pot to do. Now I'm just really Working on the integrity of the line here. I'm starting to like it. You catch center up here at the top. Remember, if it was on center, even if you bump it off like that, it's gonna remember. I'm gonna come right here, hold center, hold center, hold center, hold center, hold center, and look, it remembered. Isn't that special? Trust your clay. If you throw on center and you make a little mistake, it will remember to come back. All right. Now that's looking pretty good. I think I'm about at the point where I can stretch out down here now without getting into too much trouble. So I'm gonna come down at the bottom and I'm gonna push out onto my rib. See me pushing out? And I'm starting to give this a lower center of gravity. Oh, it's looking good. My fingers are still above my rib, stretching the shape that I want, and then my rib follows my fingers and compresses that clay. That's looking pretty nice. I'm gonna go into the bottom and just clean up the floor a little bit. I see one little smidge of slip in there. So I'm gonna get it out. I think it's probably time for me to clean up the base. But before I do, let's go ahead and look at the thickness of this pot. I'm gonna come down here and push this needle tool in till it touches my finger. And it looks like I have about a 1/2 inch of clay right there. Can you see it? And then I'm gonna come here where I'm stretched out and I have 1/8 inch. Right here, 1/8 inch. Right here, 1/8 inch. So that tells me down in the base, I have more thickness. I can do something with it. So let's do it now. First, I'm gonna lose these needle tool holes I put in there. And I'm gonna come down here. You know what? Let's use a rib that's a little harder. I'm gonna come down here and push this clay out to this rib. I hope you can see this happening. There it is, touchdown. Touchdown. And I've brought the base of this pot out wider, right above the floor. Do you see that? I think it's better. Now granted, was the other way fine? Sure it was. But now, when I check the thickness down there, let's see what happened. There it is. Now, my dear friends, we're at 3/8. So I've lost a whole 1/8 inch. And I want you to remember that you don't necessarily want 1/8 inch at the very base of your pot. Why? Because it has to hold your pot up. It has a job to do. So I'm just compressing against my round rib, coming up, working on the integrity of the line on the outside of my pot, all the way up to here. You'll notice what I've gotten away with has a lot to do with the fact that I am not using a lot of water. I'm gonna go in here and with a wrung out sponge, I'm gonna compress my floor just a little bit so that it looks really good in there, and now it looks great, trust me. And I'm gonna think about my shape for a minute. I think I wanna stretch it out even a little more. Do I dare do it? Yes, because we live on the wild side. It's just clay. And we do what we want. So my fingers are right here. I'm pushing out, pushing out, pushing out, pushing out. I'm lifting up now. I'm lifting up now. I'm lifting up. I'm lifting up. I'm lifting up. My fingers were a little bit ahead of my rib, and now I'm out even further in this pot. Oh, I'm really liking it. And I haven't even decided what I'm gonna do up here yet. That's okay. So when you're looking at the form, I recommend when it's on the wheel, you just look at the line, not the whole volume. Because if you look at the line, you can find areas that might be problematic that your eye might tune out if you just look at the body of the pot. And learning to see is so important. I'm pulling up again, pulling up again. Every time I make this pot wider, guess what happens? It gets thinner. Okay, I have all this collar to do something with. I'm feeling pretty good about this pot down here. I think I'll cut a little bit off of the very bottom. There we go. So that, it looks like it's finished there. And what am I gonna do with this? I think I'm gonna give it some choking in. So when I'm gonna choke up here, and I know everything's thin here, I'm gonna start first at the very top. You see that, how I brought it in? I love that shape where it's round against round. But I'm gonna bring more in. So once I've choked the top in, all the way around, feeling center, holding full revolutions, I'm gonna choke all of it in. So now I have the ability to create some very different kind of shape from here to here. I'm gonna get this closed up so much that I'm not gonna be able to get back in there. So I have to remember, is my line still good? All right, I'm putting a little moisture on there. Why? I do not want to drag when I'm choking clay. There we go. I'm going to come up to it. Now look, it had a little wobble to it. Am I worried about it? No. I'm going to set up a pull right here so gently. Around, 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 all the way to the top. And guess what I have? I have center. I love clay. Okay, I'm gonna push against all of that. Oh, that's looking good. That is looking so good. So this is 3 pounds. I've got a nice even thickness all the way to right here. You see that? Yeah. So now I'm sitting here thinking, what am I gonna do? Well, look, it's beautifully on center. Even if there's just a smidge of play, you can just hold center, hold center, hold center, push down, and you're good to go. Play's your friend. You just have to respect it, because it has qualities that are gonna hold true. I'm gonna cut a little smidge off here and show you something. See that little rise? There's hardly anything to it. But if you pick your wheel speed up quickly, you can cut off the tiniest little pieces. Compress. That's pretty nice, isn't it? So I think what I'm gonna do, and you are gonna love this, is I am going to take this pot and measure this little piece right here and throw a neck on it. 2 pieces. Does that sound like fun? I think so. So let's measure it. To the outside edge of this diameter, it is 2, make sure I'm not lying, 2 7/8, almost 3 inches, 2 7/8. So I'm gonna get a tool to score this before I set it aside. This one looks good, and I'm just gonna score around. Now, for the sake of this demonstration, I'm gonna torch this and get on with it. Don't you think that's a good idea? Some people are afraid of torches. You can use a heat gun if you are, but I'm not afraid. All right, so I'm on a Med-X bat. I've got my diameter right here. I've measured it. I'm gonna torch it, and then I'm gonna measure it again. So let's get ready to torch this baby, shall we? This is a really high BTU torch, and I've got it hooked to a little portable camping propane tank. The beauty of high BTUs is you get there really fast. Wasn't that awesome? Okay, what's my diameter now? I am going to predict it's exactly the same. And it is. And it's round. If you've not thrown well when you torch, all of a sudden, you're gonna have a hot mess at the top and it's gonna tell on you. But that's good, because then you know, I have some work to do. It's okay. Making pots is a journey. Not only is it take time to develop skill, but there are good times and there are bad times for throwing. Can I get a witness? You've got to be centered. Okay, so I'm gonna set this off the wheel, and when I do, you'll notice that this bat pin has an X mark on it. I'm gonna mark that on my bat so that I go right back in the same bat pin. Otherwise, it might appear to be off center just a little bit when I did such a great job. I'm gonna set it down, and we're gonna throw a neck. And I'm excited to do this. If you haven't thrown pieces and parts on your pots, today is the day. Here we go. Let me get a little bit of clay.